Omahyanati manasyantyam smaslakam satyamritamina tasmai shivopeni. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swamiti Namini. Namaste Saraswati Devi Gaurangachari Nirvishesha Sunyavadi Paskachari Vesatani Prabhupada. We ended last class with Bhagavad Gita 249, concluding that one who has understood his constitutional position as a servant of Krishna, he engages only in devotional service and he loses his taste for the activities of sense gratification for the body. Now, Krishna will continue describing the benefits of devotional service. By devotional service, one becomes indifferent to the Vedic rituals, this karma kanda, because that's all about sense gratification without Krishna, and the devotee is not interested in it. And by devotional service, one gets freedom from reaction and liberation from the cycle of birth and death, and goes back to Godhead. So Lord Krishna, in that way, defeats the argument of Arjuna's fear to get simple reactions. But after hearing that, after hearing Krishna's description of devotional service, Arjuna is inquisitive and he wants to know, how can I recognize such a devotee? And then Krishna is describing how the devotee is free from material desires, and now he acts with body, mind, and words transcendental in the service of Krishna. That how he's equipoised, detached. Because the devotee, because he's experienced a higher taste, he gives up the lower taste, and he feels always complete satisfaction. So that's the summary of the next session. The session we will deal now with. So text 15. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Buddhi Yukta Yata Teta. Bhakti Yukta Yata Tiha. Ubbesuskita Duskite. Tasmat Yogaya Yutyasva. Yoga Karma Sukha Salam. A man engaged in devotional service rids himself of good and bad reactions even in this life. Therefore strive for yoga. Which is the art of all work in the purport. So, one's ignorance can be removed by the instruction of Bhagavad Gita, which teaches one to surrender unto Lord Krishna in all respects and become liberated from the chain of victimization of action and reaction, birth after birth. Arjuna is therefore advised to act in Krishna consciousness, the purifying process of resulted action. So, freedom from the victimization of action and reaction. So in the next verse, Krishna continues speaking about getting rid of these reactions, good and bad. It is said good and bad, all reactions, that also the so-called good. so-called good reactions is the happiness we get in next life. Krishna takes that also away. That all reactions, that because they are so-called good, because by our good karma we have to take birth again to receive the reaction, and that's not good. That we have to stop. We have to stop this cycle of birth and death. Karmajam bhakti yukta hi phalang tyaktva manishina janma bandha vinirmukta padam kachant anamayam. That by disengaging in devotional service to the Lord, by disengaging in devotional service to the Lord, great sages or devotees free themselves from the results of work in the material world. In this way, they become free from the cycle of birth and death and attain the state beyond all miseries by going back to Godhead. So free from the cycle of birth and death and going back to Godhead. In the purport, Srila Prabhupada quotes Srimad Bhagavatam 10:14-58. This was spoken by Brahma to Krishna. That's the Brahma Moadila, 14th chapter of the 10th canto. And this verse is many times quoted by Srila Prabhupada and is mentioned here in the purport. Samasrita yetapala ye padapala vaplavam mahatpadam punyayaso murare pavam buddhir vatsapadam padam yatvi padam natisham. For one who has accepted the abode of the lotus feet of the Lord, who is the shelter of the cosmic manifestation, and is famous as Mukunda, or the giver of Mukti, the ocean of material world, is like the river contained in a half's footprint. Parampadam, or the place where there are no material miseries, or Vaikuntha, is its goal, not a place where there is danger at every step. Does this material world danger at every step? They do not know that no kind of material body anywhere within the universe can give life without miseries. The miseries of life, namely birth, death, old age, and disease, are present everywhere within the material world. Further in the purport, to know one's constitutional position means to know also the sublime position of the Lord. One who wrongly thinks that the living entity's position and the Lord's position are on the same level is to be understood to be in darkness, and therefore unable to engage in the devotional service of the Lord. But one who understands his position is to serve, transfers himself to the service of the Lord, and at once becomes eligible for Vaikuntha Loka. So that is, one attains pure devotional service, serving Krishna without selfish motive. One is eligible for Vaikuntha. We have this boat, the lotus feet, the boat of the lotus feet of the Lord. How to get on this boat? To get on this boat, you must do 4 things every day. That chant your rounds, then follow the 4 regulative principles, hear the Bhagavatam every day, and the 4th thing, perform service. You do these 4 things, you are on the boat. The boat may rock sometimes, but the boat is going to Vaikuntha. So that is the benefit of performing devotional service. And now 52. Yada te moy kalilam buddhi afyati tarishyati Tadaganda sinirvitam shutavasya sutasya. When your intelligence has passed out of the dense forest of delusion, you shall become indifferent to all that is to be heard and all that has been heard and all to be heard. So you become disinterested in the pursuit of material happiness in this world and everything related to that. No interest to hear these things anymore. And that includes the Vedic rituals. At the end of the purport, the Vedic rituals, the Vedic rites and rituals are imperative for neophytes comprehending all kinds of prayers 3 times a day, taking a bath early in the morning, offering respect to forefathers. But when one is fully in Krishna consciousness and is engaged in his transcendental loving service, one becomes indifferent to all these regulative principles because he has already attained perfection. If one can reach the platform of understanding by service of the Supreme Personality, by service to the Supreme Lord Krishna, he has no longer to execute different types of penances and sacrifices recommended in the revealed scriptures. And similarly, if one has not understood that the purpose of the Vedas is to reach Krishna and simply engage in rituals, etc., then he is usually wasting time in such engagement. Person in Krishna consciousness transcends the limit of Sabda Brahman or the range of the Vedas. So yes, one who understands that his position is to serve, he can enter into Vaikuntha Loka. That was 51. So this should be 51 purport. That was a previous one. 259. Okay. So we have 53, 52. So Prabhupada says 2 things in this purport. He says, a neophyte, a beginner, must follow the rituals in the Vedas. But if he does not understand that the purpose of the Vedas is to reach Krishna, it's all a waste of time. And the second thing is, when a person understands Krishna and his relationship with him, naturally, by engaging in devotional service, he becomes disinterested in all these Vedic rituals and of fruitive activities. So that's the karma kanda. That person in Krishna consciousness transcends the limit of Sabda Brahman on the range of the Vedas and Upanishads. The point is, if we speak about the Vedas, 80% of the Vedas are about karma kanda, how to go to the heavenly planets and enjoy in different ways. And Vedavyasa has written that. He wrote that. And his spiritual master Narada Muni was not pleased. He said, you wrote all this because Vyasadeva did not feel satisfied after writing it. So then should we become satisfied by reading all these things? And Narada Muni told him that are you only interested in the mind and the senses? That in the mind, body, and the sense, what with the interest of the soul? That He said, you did not glorify sufficiently the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna. He said that, because it was all about karma kanda, practically. He mentions Krishna, he wrote a Mahabharata, and the Bhagavad Gita was there, but not sufficient. That the most of the Vedas is about this karma kanda, getting material benefits. That yes, and 53. Shruti vitrati panate yadasta shati nisha samadavatsala buddhis tadayogam avapyasi. When your mind is no longer disturbed by the flowery language of the Vedas, this is the karma kanda, and then a man remains fixed in trance of self-realization. Trance of self-realization means mind fixing on Krishna in devotional service. And fixed in trance of self-realization, then you will have attained the divine consciousness. So samadhi is the highest perfection of self-realization. But it means samadhi, that understanding one is a servant of Krishna. And then engagement in devotional service to Krishna is samadhi. Because devotional service has two aspects. Devotion, that's internal, and service is external. The devotion must be there to get the samadhi. Yeah. And that this happens when we are truly fixed in Krishna consciousness with the right motivation. So the highest perfection of self-realization is to understand that one is an eternally the servitor of Krishna, and that one's only business is to discharge one's duties in Krishna consciousness. One has only to carry out the orders of Krishna or his representative, the spiritual master. That is a perfect samadhi, always fixed on the order of the spiritual master. Now, Krishna, as described here, if you are engaged in devotional service, you get freedom from all the reactions of your past activities. You attain liberation. You transcend the cycle of birth and death, and you go back to Godhead. That's good. Now, Arjuna has some questions. That how can I recognize such a stita prajna devotee? One who is stitadir, it's saying stitadir. One who is fixed in Krishna consciousness. How can I know that's a person? So he's asking in 54. Arjuna vacha stiti prahyasika bhasa samadhi stasya keshava stitadir kim prabhasita kim ashita vacheta kim. Arjuna said to Krishna, what are the symptoms of one who is conscious, whose consciousness is merged into transcendence? The one who is Krishna conscious. How does he speak? What is his language? How does he sit? How does he walk? How can I recognize him? So someone wants to eat the purple? Okay, Anton.
There are symptoms for each and every man in terms of his particular situation. Similarly, one who is Krishna conscious has his particular nature, walking, drinking, feeling, etc. As a rich man has his symptoms by which he is known as a rich man. As a diseased man has his symptoms by which he is known as a diseased man. Or as a learned man has his symptoms, so a man in transcendental consciousness of Krishna has specific symptoms and various feelings. One can know his specific symptoms from the Bhagavad Gita. Most important is how the man in Krishna consciousness speaks. For speech is the most important quality of any man. He said that a fool is undiscovered as long as he does not speak. And certainly, a well-dressed fool cannot be identified unless he speaks. As soon as he speaks, he reveals himself at once. The immediate symptom of a Krishna conscious man is that he speaks only of Krishna and of matters relating to him. Other symptoms then automatically follow as stated below.
So now Krishna starts to answer, and he speaks about the essential qualities of a devotee. 55. Shri Bhagavan Vacha Vajahati Yata Kamam Sarvam Partam Manogatam Atmanivatmana Tusta Stitapachasta Tochate. The Spirit Personality of God that said, O Part, when a man gives up all varieties of desire for sense gratification which arises from mental concoction, and when his mind is purified, he finds satisfaction in the self alone, and is said to be in pure transcendental consciousness. So the first quality is Prajahati Yata Kamam. He gave up all desires for sense gratification, which are mental concoction. The sense gratification is experienced in the mind, and it is a concoction. That's heavy, but that's the reality. That yes, that if you are in your dream you are eating sweet rice, and then you get up and you cook, offer the sweet rice, and you eat the sweet rice with your senses. The sensation in the mind is exactly the same. And that shows it is concoction of the mind, an invention of the mind, that enjoyment. There's no enjoyment. It's an invention of the mind. That it's under the sphere of lust. It arises from mental concoction. When the mind becomes purified, then you lose that desire. And then one is in transcendental consciousness. So purification of our desire, that's the message. By mental concoction, artificially, such sense desires cannot be stopped. But when one is engaged in Krishna consciousness, then automatically sense desire subsides without any extraneous effort. Such a transcendental situated person has no sense desires resulting from petty materialism. Rather, he remains always happy in his natural position of eternally serving the Lord. That is the first quality which is described here. A person who is transcendentally situated has no sense desires, that is always satisfied, happy in realizing and in serving Krishna, realizing himself a servant of Krishna. So now the next characteristic of a devotee in text 56 is described. Dukkes sanudvishmanaha sukeshu vigatashvaya vitaragabaya kodo stitatir munir uchate. So dukkes anudvishmanaha, the threefold miseries do not disturb him. One who is not disturbed even amidst the threefold miseries is elated or elated when there is happiness. And who is free from attachment, fear, and anger is called the stage of steady mind. Now, you have different components here. So we get disturbance by the three modes of material nature in the form of happiness and distress. Especially we find the distress as a disturbance. So the disturbance comes into the mind. The mind. We are not the mind. It comes into the mind. And the Krishna consciousness is not affected by it. It comes and it goes. That is undisturbed in the most disturbing situations. That's the meaning. Undisturbed in the most disturbing situations. That yeah.
It's only the second chapter. And the qualities are coming much later. Why don't need it now?
Yeah.
It is the second chapter.
Yeah.
It's because of summarizing or some other reason. Because there is a qualities of Brahmana, the qualities of spiritual master, they are coming later. Why we have them here? No.
Because Arjuna is asking, what are the qualities of a devotee? When who is Stita Prajna, situated in Samadhi, that he's asking, and Krishna is replying, that's the reason. But of course, this is the beginning. Arjuna will ask that same question in other ways many times. That he will ask in the 14th chapter, what are the qualities of one who is as transcendent the modes? And Krishna will again give qualities of devotees. That so yes, that it is a summary, but these qualities they will be more elaborately explained in the next chapters. That but it says, yeah, sukeshu vigatash priya. When happiness comes from the body, it's not interested. It's not interested. It's not elated by it. It's not interested. And when distress comes, it's not disturbed by it. That these are functions of the mind. That and when we identify with the mind, we think it's our distress. But the devotee does not identify with the mind. He's not disturbed by it. We will learn that in verse 70, after the break. Krishna will explain that further. But then vitaraga bhaya krodha is free from attachment, anger, fear and anger. Vita means free. Rag means attachment. Vitaraga bhaya. Prabhupada was abhaya. Bhaya, fear. And krodha is anger. Free from attachment, fear, and anger. Now, this is a summary. So we can ask the question, how to become free from attachment, fear, and anger. So Krishna will explain, and he used the same Sanskrit verse in 4.10. And 4.10 starts also with vitaraga bhaya krodha. Manmaya mam upashrita bhavakana tapasa buddhamat bhavam agata. Yeah? So it describes a devotee becomes free from attachment, fear, and anger because they are fully absorbed in me, and they take shelter in me, and they became purified by knowledge of me, by knowledge of me. So they became purified by knowledge. That's interesting. That Krishna gives you knowledge when you do perform devotional service. And these are realizations. So this is the realizations that he gives here. And then after getting rid of this attachment, fear, and anger, then your mind becomes peaceful, and then you can develop love for Krishna. That's the process. So he says, therefore, this is a summary, and the process to attain that, many details will follow later. Yeah. So, text. In the purport, Srila Prabhupada speaks about the Muni. The word Muni means one who can agitate his mind in various ways for mental speculation without coming to a factual conclusion. That's a Muni. Agitate his mind in different ways. It is said that every Muni has a different angle of vision, and unless a Muni differs from other Munis, he cannot be called a Muni in the strict sense of the term. Na Sastri Samatam Nabinam Mahabharat Varna Partha 313-117. So that's a Muni, a mental speculator. But a devotee is a Stita Dir Muni. That's a different Muni. That is different from the ordinary Muni. The Stita Dir Muni is always in Krishna consciousness, for he has exhausted all his business of creative speculation. He does not speculate anymore. He accepts Krishna's version. One who has surpassed the stage of mental speculation and has come to the conclusion that Lord Krishna is Vasudeva is everything. Again, this will be explained in 5:18 of Bhagavad Gita. We will see that Thursday probably. Vasudeva Sarvamiti Samatma Sudurlabha. After many births, the jnani comes to the realization, yes, the mental speculator, the jnani, he comes to the conclusion, Vasudeva, Krishna is the source of everything. And then he becomes a devotee. But the devotee is a Stita Dir Muni. Is a Muni that fixed in mind. Such a fully Krishna conscious person is not at all disturbed by the onslaughts of the threefold miseries, for he accepts all miseries as the mercy of the Lord, thinking himself only worthy of more trouble due to his past misdeeds, and he sees that his miseries by the grace of the Lord are minimized to the lowest. So, a Stita Dir Muni, or a Krishna conscious person, he is not disturbed by the three modes of material nature, by the happiness and distress, all what's happening in his mind and around him. So he becomes free from these miseries. So did the Pandavas did undergo a lot of sufferings. Did they suffer? Did the Pandavas suffer? Yeah, but were they Krishna conscious?
Yes.
So did they suffer?
No.
No. That is what this verse says. Externally, they suffered a lot, but because their mind was controlled, that this so-called suffering and happiness, they were not interested. They were not interested. They had nothing to. They had nothing to attain in this world than serving Krishna. Okay. And for the service of the Lord is always daring and active and is not influenced by attachment and aversion. That's the point. Raga, dvesha, attachment and aversion. Attachment means accepting things for one's own sense gratification, and attachment is the absence of such sensual attachment. But one fixed in Krishna consciousness has neither attachment nor detachment, because his life is dedicated in the service of the Lord. In the 5th chapter, not Vishvayama, there is said that one is not elated when happiness is coming, and is not disturbed when distress comes. That's something we need to learn. Consequently, he's not at all angry when his attempts are unsuccessful, or success or no success. A Krishna person is always steady in his determination. He does his service. It doesn't matter how he feels or what the mind tells him. And he fixes his mind on Krishna. 57. Yeah, this was 56. Yeah. The devotee accepts everything, whether happiness and distress, as the mercy of the Lord, and continues his service to Krishna. In such service, he is always daring and active, and not influenced by attachment and aversion, or attaining success or failure. 57. Yat sarvatra navisneas tatat prapya subhasubham nabhinatnina tvesti tasya prachya pratisthita. In the material world, one who is unaffected by whatever good or evil he may obtain, neither praising it nor despising it, is firmly fixed in perfect knowledge. Someone can read the purport of 57. Yes, Bruce.
There's always some upheaval in the material world, which may be good or evil. One who is not agitated by such material upheaval, who is unaffected by good and evil, is to be understood to be fixed in Krishna consciousness. As long as one is in the material world, there is always the possibility of good and evil, because this world is full of duality. But one who is fixed in Krishna consciousness is not affected by good and evil, because he is simply concerned with Krishna, who is all good absolute. Such consciousness in Krishna situates one in a perfect transcendental position called, technically, samadhi.
Thank you. Yes, not affected. And Krishna will give an example later, like in the later chapters. He will give the example of a lotus leaf. Water drops of a lotus leaf, and it doesn't impregnate in the leaf. It rolls down and falls. That it doesn't impregnate. So that's all this good and bad. I heard Bhujam Prabhu a few times saying, the dogs are barking, but a caravan will pass. So a caravan is passing and dogs are barking, but still the caravan will pass. So this good and bad is all temporary, this happiness and distress. The happiness and the distress, it goes that, and the devotee is not interested. It will pass. let it pass. The dogs will bark, but the caravan will pass. Always think of that. That if there is suffering, think, yeah, it will pass. That goes, comes and goes. But the devotee, he protects himself. He does not want to be unnecessarily implicated in sense gratification. So, and that we find in text 58, how a devotee controls his senses. Yada samarate sayam gomanangiva sarvasa indriya indriyartebhyas tasya prajapatistita. One who is able to withdraw his senses from sense objects, as a tortoise draws its limbs within the shell, is firmly fixed in perfect consciousness. Can someone read the purport? Who wants to read? Purport, yeah, 57. Yeah, 58, I mean. The test of a yogi.
That is the answer to the question of how the yogi is situated. The senses are compared to
Venomous.
The most active loosely and without restriction. The yogi or the devotee must be very strong to control the serpents, like a snake charmer. He never allows them to act independently. There are many injunctions in the revealed scriptures. Some of them are do nots and some of them are do's. Unless one is able to follow the do's and the do nots, restricting oneself from sense enjoyment, it is not possible to be firmly fixed in Krishna consciousness. The best example set herein is the tortoise. The tortoise can at any moment wind up its senses and exhibit them again at any time for particular purposes. Similarly, the senses of the Krishna conscious person are used only for some particular purpose in the service of the Lord and are withdrawn otherwise. Arjuna is being taught here to use his senses for the service of the Lord instead of for his own satisfaction. Keeping the senses always in the service of the Lord is the example set by the analogy of a tortoise who keeps the senses within.
So the test of the yogi is that he's able to control the senses according to his plan. Other persons are directed by the dictation of their senses. So when I was traveling with Prahlad Maharaj, we went to a lot of airports. And when we went to the boarding gate, Maharaj would sit down, open his computer, database, and I was reading. And he would not see anything until the boarding was there. That complete oblivious from, because if we don't engage our senses are roaming and trying to get some pleasure somewhere. Then all the antennas are going out. And Krishna will say a little further, even one of the roaming senses can ruin your endeavor to control your senses. That's always engage. You are going on a journey to India, you know what's happening on these airplanes. Be sure you have first-class prasadam with you, that you don't eat anything else. Have your Prabhupada's books with you, of your iPad or whatever, and read. Don't look at all these screens and all these things that are happening. People who are drinking alcohol and all these things. No, make sure you have your headphones with you. You can hear lectures. protect yourself. So that is what's mentioned here. Now text 59. 59 is, I would say, a key verse. Pisya vinavartate nirasya dena rasavam rasopya sapram dristvam vartate. Translation. Yeah.
Unless one is transcendentally situated, it is not possible to exceed from sense enjoyment. The process of restriction from sense enjoyment by rules and regulations is something like restricting a deceased person from certain types of evils. The patient, however, neither likes such restrictions nor loses his taste for evils. Similarly, sense restriction, but some spiritual process like Ashtanga Yoga, in the matter of yama, niyama, sana, pranayama, pratyahara, parana, pranayama, etc., is recommended for less intelligent persons who have no direct knowledge. But one who has tasted the beauty of the Supreme Lord Krishna in the course of his advancement in Krishna consciousness no longer has a taste for dead material things. Therefore, restrictions are there for the less intelligent neophytes in the spiritual advancement of life, but such restrictions are only good if one actually has a taste for Krishna consciousness. When one is actually Krishna conscious, he automatically loses his taste for pale things.
Yeah, but thank you for reading the purport. It's good if we read also the translation. Though the embodied soul may be restricted from sense enjoyment, the taste for sense objects remains. By ceasing such engagements, one experiences a higher taste, is fixed in consciousness. So what Lord Krishna is saying here, if your taste for sense gratification is high, your taste for Krishna consciousness will be low. If your taste for Krishna consciousness is high, so your taste for sense gratification is low. But you must get this higher taste. That is very important, how to get this higher taste. Of course, you have the sahajas, they take it cheap, and they want sense gratification and Krishna like that, but it's not possible. It's not possible. So we have how to get the higher taste and become attached to hearing about Krishna. That's important. How to get that. This is from Srimad Bhagavatam. Attachment to other things than the Srimad Bhagavatam. Then one is no better than a cow or an ass. So this verse is from the in 1084. It's Krishna addressing sages at Kurukshetra at the time of the solar eclipse, when the Yadus came there, and the residents of Vrindavan were also there. So the sages gave a speech, and then, but Krishna, on 1084, 84:13. Krishna speaks to the sages after they have spoken, or before they have spoken, that glorifying them, but he's saying, Yasyatma buddhi kunapetita tuke, Yasyatma buddhi kunapetita tuke, Spati kalatra disabama ichati, Yatirtha buddhi salinena karichit, One who identifies itself as the inner body composed of mucus, bile, and air, who assumes his wife and family are permanently his own, and who thinks an earthen image of the land of his birth are worshipable, and who sees a place of pilgrimage as merely the water there, but who never identifies himself with, feels kinship with, or worships, or even visits those who are wise in spiritual truth. Such a person is no better than a cow or an ass. Cow and an ass. Anyway, oops. That dogs, like dogs, fox, and camels. The 2:3:19 of the Bhagavatam. Men were like dogs, fox, camels, and asses. They praise those men who never listen to the transcendental pastimes of Lord Krishna, the deliverer from evils. So the camel is a kind of animal that takes pleasure in eating thorns. The thorns mixed with flesh both create a taste for the foolish camel. And so he enjoys the thorn eating, that business with false pleasure. A person who wants to enjoy family life or worldly life is called, I can't read it, but it's compared to the same thing. It's enjoying in sex enjoyment, and it's own blood. Anyway, that like a donkey carrying an overloaded cart. See that sometimes in India, that you see a donkey and then a lot of hay. You don't see the donkey, only hay, and he's going for sense enjoyment. His sense enjoyment is only a little grass, but he does all the service for his boss because he gets a little grass. But grass is everywhere at the side of the road. But he's so foolish that for a little sense pleasure, we do so many things in this world that that's the lower taste we have to give up. They never glorify Krishna. Anyway, I'm not going into politics. The problem. What's the problem? People are not attached to Krishna, but they are attracted to mortal persons, to how to reorient our lives. That methodology, how to get a taste. By serving advanced devotees, one gets a taste for Krishna. By Krishna says, by hearing with care and attention the Srimad Bhagavatam, and by serving the mission of the pure devotee, one gets taste for hearing. Krishna says, well, Sutta Goswami says, one gets taste for hearing about Krishna. There the taste is born. Serving advanced devotees. Now, Bhagavad Gita 62-63. That's the bad news. For the next session, but I want, before ending this section, I want to go back to this last verse, a few more things. So one can ask, why don't I get, I'm serving Krishna for so long and still I don't get taste. What's wrong with me? That to get the taste depends on the purity of your service. What's your motive? If your motive is just to please Krishna, and you don't want anything in return, nothing material, and you don't want liberation even, then you will get a taste. But if it's mixed with other expectations, then it's difficult. And therefore, Rupa Goswami, you will learn the nectar of devotion. Anya Bilasta Sunyam Jnanaka Matana Anukuliyena Krishna Nushilnam Bhakti-uttama. Pure devotional service is service rendered without any material motive. Anya Bilasta. All other motives must be zero. And also not a motive for liberation. This desire for liberation, this desire for material enjoyment are compared to witches. And if you are infected by these witches, then it's not pure devotional service. And it must be done favorably to serve, to please Krishna intentionally. And then you feel this higher taste coming. So that your purity of your motivation is very important. Because to be fixed in devotional service, you must derive a happiness from devotional service, which is better than material sense gratification. And then by this ruchi, then if you have this ruchi, then Krishna comes automatically in your mind. If you have the taste. To that taste we have to develop. It's a process of developing. It doesn't happen overnight. Good. We have 5 minutes for questions. Yes.
Is the desire to execute a certain service for Krishna because I feel I derive more pleasure than of some other service. Is it to ask or to pray for that service is that big contaminant with desire?
We cannot jump to the platform of pure devotional service. We have certain desires. And Krishna in the 3rd chapter, we will come soon to that tomorrow. Krishna says, don't be a mithyachari, be honest with your desires. And try to use them in Krishna's service. By using them in Krishna's service, you will become purified and your motive will become purified gradually. So we cannot jump to that. You cannot say, I cut all these material desires. It's not possible. It's a gradual process. But you can have the intention to use your body, mind, and words all in the service of Krishna. And that is as good as, that intention is as good as pure devotional service. And if you do that, you may have still material desires, you will feel satisfied. So that's how to learn to act in devotional service. In that acting as a spirit soul. Purity in your action, in your motive. I want to please Krishna. That and these material desires will be there. And Kelly will come with a platform of devotional service, pure devotional service, but it takes a long time. So you have 2 things, being a pure devotee and acting as a pure devotee. Even with a contaminated heart, we can act as a pure devotee by using all we have in Krishna's service with the intention just to please him and not asking something in return. And that will purify you. But that pure intention is important. Yes.
So if I understood correctly, then acting as a pure devotee with the intention to eventually come there is not pretending or something, it's honest. That's okay.
Yeah, but we use our material desires as much as possible in fulfilling Krishna's desire. We make a combination, we combine them. That I want to eat pizza, I'm going to make a nice pizza for Krishna. That if you do that, then and you eat that pizza, you will lose your desire, your material desire to eat pizza. That's mystical.
Okay.
That's how it works. That, yes.
Yes. Like I said, Mother shouldn't and make a pizza for all the devotees. So that's not for me, but also for everyone else. Is this all the
Yeah, but you must do it for Krishna, and then you offer it to the devotees. It may be in your back of your mind, but you must do it for Krishna. Yeah, and then offer it to the devotees. That my Guru Maharaj would like to offer pizza and ice cream to the devotees. So we offered to Krishna pizza and ice cream. That's okay. You want also to please the devotees. That's good. But first Krishna. Krishna is the first enjoyer. And then the devotees. That, of course, the spiritual master is different, but is representative of Krishna. But still, to the spiritual master, we first offer to Krishna and then offer to the spiritual master. Good. Something else? And then we take a pause for 50 minutes. 5:15, we reconvene for the last part of chapter 2.